Hello beauties, how are you all doing? Shaz here with another colorful look. Today we're going to talk about Cosmic Brush's Delicious Delights palette, beauties. I am so excited. I ordered this palette at launch and I received it recently. We're going to do swatches and 3 eye looks. And yes, what I'm wearing is one of the looks. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you my thoughts based on the first experience with this palette. If that sounds good to you, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to my channel if you're not subscribed already and this is type of content that you like to watch. Let's go into the video. Jumping into this beauty, but before that I just noticed that I have new nails. Let me show you. So these are collaboration between Tombow Chic and Impress. This is the container it came in. I got this at Target. The only issue that I have with it is that it kind of started chipping, and this is the second day I'm wearing it, and then this kind of broke on the side. I don't know. I can't be too mad at that. I mean, you can't really wear these for weeks, right? As long as they last 5 to 7 days for me, I'm fine with that. But just because I wore these yesterday, I was a little bit surprised. Anyway, too much talking about that. Let's jump into this beauty. Before everything, I wanted to quickly mention that I ordered this at launch. And it took like 3-ish weeks to get to me, which was a little bit surprising because I expected a little bit faster shipping just because I know this is what everybody's waiting to receive, right? But now it's here and I'm excited to have it. So the palette is pretty much the same kind of look and feel as all the other ones we've seen. So I have Royal Rose, I have Serenity, and I have Muse, and I will do a side-by-side comparison of these at the very end, just showing you this next to each of those other ones at the very end of the video. If you're interested in that, you can just, if that's the only thing you're interested in, you can forward to that part of the video. Of course, except that the design on the color is different. You have the Cosmic Brushes logo, you have Delicious Delights, with delights being in a holochrome sort of design, and the design on the coloring is super cute and summery. And then this is inside a sleeve, so you get it out of the sleeve and you have the palette, and the palette just, you know, the feel is exactly the same as the other palettes we've seen from Cosmic Brushes. And this is the inside. Now, the first thing that I noticed when looking at this, and as I said, I have all the other ones, is that there is very little similar shades to the other ones. Now, of course, off the top of my head, I haven't memorized every single palette. Like, for example, I know in Serenity we have a light blue, in Royal Rose we have pinks, and so on, but there's nothing in here that makes me concerned that this palette is too much of a dupe of the other palettes that they have. In fact, I'm seeing a lot of pastel shades, and I don't remember too many pastel shades in the other ones, so I'm kind of excited because this is very summery and I can't wait to jump into it. Let's take a look at the swatches before we jump into the first eye look. Beauties, you all know I do swatches on bare skin with no primer. Okay, beauties, I already primed my eyes with Painter Leaf from MAC. The first thing that I noticed when I opened this palette up was that it does not, separate from the fact that it doesn't have a matte black, woohoo. You all know I don't like matte blacks. But the second thing after that was that I noticed this palette has quite a bit of mattes. And I really like that because if you all know me, you know I love mattes. And what I'm planning on doing in this video when I'm doing eye looks is to do at least one all matte look. So our first eye look is going to be an eye look of all mattes. I'm picking this packing brush. This is number 2 from Michaela and Glam Light Pot 2 collection, and I want to go into this beautiful color, Zesty. You all know how much I love a neon, and Zesty is going to go across our lid. I'm now using another packing brush. This is from Zoeva number 239, And I'm gonna go into this lavender color Milkshake, and I'm putting Milkshake on the outer half of my eye. Okay, beauties, if you watch my channel a lot, you know that I always talk about how pastel colors wash me out. This is exactly the effect that I'm talking about. So I have a neon pastel-y color in the inner half, and then the lavender pastel on the outer half of my eyes. And it literally looks as if I'm either wearing low quality makeup, because it's very hard to even see it, or that I'm not even wearing anything. And the reason isn't necessarily the quality of the shade, it's because I have very, very, very dark features. So in contrast to the color of my lashes, to the color of my pupil, to the color of my hair and eyebrows, this color doesn't really show. Now these colors would be ideal on a fair skin tone with blonde hair, light colored eyes. These colors would definitely make that kind of a look pop. They just don't look like that on me. Okay, now I'm gonna go into Jelly Bean, this beautiful like purpley magenta color. And I'm gonna begin deepening out the outer half of my eye. And I'm blending this into the lavender. And then I'm gonna look up and I'm gonna bring this color under my lower lash line and connect it to that color in the outer V. Now beauties, part of the reason using the lavender helps is that a little bit of color theory. Purple is made up of blue and red, and yellow mixed with blue and red is going to give you literally the combination of all primary colors is going to give you muddiness or brown. Now if you're using a very dark purple color with a very dark yellow color, it's going to manifest itself much faster, or it's going to show up much faster, the muddiness. But if you use a very light hint of purple, it might create an easier transition. I'm now picking a very small headed brush. This is from Juvia's Place, the I Live I Love collection. And I'm gonna go into Charms, this beautiful purple. And I'm gonna deepen out as close to my lash line as I can. I'm also going to use the dark purple color. You can just use whatever's left on here under my lower lash line, again, as close to my lash line as I can. And now beauties, I'm gonna pick a fluffy brush. This is number 4 from the Michaela collection. And I'm gonna just dab 1 or 2 dabs into the pink. And to diffuse the pink a little bit, you can also do 1 or 2 dabs into the matte white. We can use them for making this color more pastel. And I'm gonna use this to diffuse the top edge a little bit. Beauties, pastel colors are literally a pigment mixed with white. That's how we get pastel colors. And beauties, my eye look is done. Let me go do the other eye off camera and I'll be right back. Okay, beauties, I'm back with the completed look. I also went ahead and put a little bit of this new ultra blotted lip from ColourPop. Although the packaging and the formulation is new, they just released it a few weeks ago. The color I actually had before. This is called Starling. So the color is something that ColourPop used to have. I used to have this color. I actually still have it, the older version. I have to find it. It's somewhere around. And I loved this color. It was one of those things that I used to wear to work when people actually went to the office. I used to wear that color all the time because it's a little bit nudie. I think it kind of goes with the eye look. As far as the eye look is concerned, I'm liking this. I think it turned out pretty well. I like the contrast of the neon yellow with the purple color. This is the very first application of the palette. I haven't used it, I haven't touched it, I haven't done anything with it. This was the very, very first use. And I don't really have an assessment of the palette yet. Part of it is because a few of the colors that I used are pastels, and beauties. Pastel generally wash me out. They look like I'm not wearing anything. I have to pack them on for something to show. And that was kind of the same case with this palette, but that's, as I said, across the board. So I don't think it's this palette. But I really liked the darker colors, and I think the overall look looks pretty nice. It blended amazingly. Of course, we're gonna do a few more looks before I can give you a little bit of a more comprehensive review and a more comprehensive first impression. But let me now bring the camera closer and show you this eye look from close up. I already primed my eyes with Juvia's Place Eye Prime. I used shade 1 for this. I have used 1 and 2. 1 is too light, 2 is a little too dark for me. It makes me look a little yellow, but I sometimes mix them. I sometimes use them separately. I like Juvia's Place's primer. I do want to remind you all that this is the darkest color in this palette, which means I've already used the darkest color. So whatever I do now is probably going to be lighter because I'm not planning on repeating a look. Let me quickly move the palette. So this color over here is probably one of the most common multichromes you see in the market. It's a pink to green, so it goes pink to gold to green. I'm trying to remember the name of the one that Cleona has. Is it Kiln? Maybe it's Kiln that's a dupe for this. Juvia's Place had a palette a few years ago, Wahala 1, that had this color, gold to pink to green or magenta to green. Yeah, this is, I want to say, one of the most commonly seen multichromes. Also, the palette that came out from Nomad Cosmetics earlier this year, that one also had a dupe for this, so the exact same shift. So it's not an uncommonly seen multichrome, but it doesn't matter. The fact that there's a multichrome in this palette itself is pretty exciting, so let's jump in. And as you all know, I do have a few brush bundles from Cosmic Brushes. I have a couple of them with me, near me, or at least a couple of the brushes near me that I find at hand's reach that I'm probably going to use. I'm obviously going to complement with other types of brushes if I can't find the brush that I need in these set. I'm going to go very quickly in this color, Sweetie, which is a beautiful blue, and Sweetie is going to go in our crease. This is sort of a periwinkle bluey purple. I'm loving it. Look at that. So pigmented. There's a gust of that going everywhere on my face. So I'm gonna pick a brush. This is from ColourPop, brush number F21. And I'm just gonna get rid of this. I bought a few of the brush bundles, the roll-up bundles from ColourPop. So when I talk about ColourPop brushes, it's probably from one of those bundles. I bought them over the years during sales. Okay, beauties, now I'm gonna pick the smaller Cosmic Brushes brush. This is CB4, and I'm gonna go into Slushy, and I'm putting this in this outer edge. I swapped out to a larger brush. This is CB3. The other brush was a little small for this. I also brought the same brush down, and I'm drawing the same color on my lower lash line. I'm now diffusing it a little bit with that lighter first color that I used. Now I'm putting a little bit of NYX's glitter primer on my lid. Let's go into frosting. This is a beautiful purple with a gold hue. I'm liking this. It also looks like it has little glitters in it, but it's not crunchy or anything, just, you know, glittery properties. I'm putting it over the glitter primer. And then using the dark blue, I'm gonna blend these edges. And then for a final touch, I'm gonna use CB5 in Delicious. I see that this color has a hue of blue, and I thought it would go with this look. And this is going to go in my inner corner. I wouldn't say this is a multichrome, it's just an iridescent shade with a hue of blue. I don't see any other shade. I imagine you can use it over a colorful base or over black or a dark color for a different effect. Okay, I'm liking this, beauties. The eye look is done. Let me put something on my lips and I'll be right back. Okay, beauties, I'm back with the completed look. I also used a little bit of Moody. This is from Blend Bunny. This was one of the 3 lipsticks that they released with the Sugar and Grunge palette. I also purchased this lipstick. I am pretty impressed. You know why? Because as I mentioned at the beginning of this look, that this is the darkest color. So I was kind of expecting potentially having issues with the whole pasteliness of the palette. I've mentioned to you all before that pastels wash me out, so I kept thinking to myself, okay, how can I deepen out the color a little more? But I was impressed with this blue, and I feel like this eye look turned out pretty nice. I'm liking it a lot. Good job, Cosmic Brushes. Now let me bring the camera closer and show you this eye look from close up. I already primed my eyes with icing from Glamlite. Going back into Delicious Delights, I thought sort of a blue color with, you know, the earrings and all of that would go with the theme of sort of pastel and summery colors. Also, beauties, in case you're wondering, my nails are Cleona nail lacquers. These are in color Forge. I love these nail lacquers. Let's get started. I'm using ColourPop brush in number E17, and I'm gonna go into Smoothie, this beautiful neon pink, and this color is going to embrace our crease. You all know where I'm going because I have not yet used the multichrome, and that's what we're doing today. Okay, I'm already kind of impressed with how pigmented this color is. I have mentioned in this channel in the past that neon colors generally come out a little bit too fine. They require building up. I think I even mentioned that about the yellow neon that's in this palette itself when I did the first eye look. So with that said, I'm already impressed at the pigmentation here and the fact that it didn't require any work. Look at this. And now I'm gonna look up and I'm gonna bring this same pink color under my lower lash line. I'm now gonna put glitter primer all across my lid. And now the moment of truth, beauties. We're gonna go head first into this beautiful multichromy color, Sprinkles. It's very smooth. I'm loving it. And you know, it looks pretty nice. Okay, I'm gonna look down and I'm putting this across over the glitter primer. Don't need to even rub it or blend it or anything. It was super smooth, creamy, very nice. Okay, this is another ColourPop brush in E9. I'm gonna go into whipped cream. I like to diffuse this pink a little bit so it doesn't look as extreme. So I'm just gonna blend out these edges. Again, beauties, white with any color is going to give you pastel. That's how we create pastel colors. We mix white with that color. The reason I'm doing this is because I want the attention to come to the multichrome and not as much to the pink color around it. Another thing that this will do is that it's going to blend the edges a little bit more into my skin. I'm also going to use the same brush with whatever's left on it in diffusing the lower lash line color. Beauties, I'm going to pick a smaller brush. This is not super small, but this is fine. I'm going to pick this and I'm going to go into Buttercream, this beautiful yellow, and I'm going to put this color in my inner corner. This color is a little bit my skin color. It's going to mattify the look a little bit, and it's also going to brighten up the inner corner of my eyes. And now, beauties, I'm gonna pick even a smaller brush from ColourPop. This is E28. I'm gonna go into Zesty just a little bit. And I'm going to put this over Buttercream. This is gonna diffuse the Buttercream a little bit. So Zesty is a cool toned color. Buttercream is a very warm toned color. I don't want so much warmth on my eyes, so I'm gonna make it a little cooler and a little lighter with Zesty, which is a neon, sort of a yellow green. Okay, beauties, my eye look is done and I'm kind of liking it. Let me quickly mention to you why these two colors. I might have videos in my earlier videos about how to use multichromes on your eyes, but one thing that I do is that I try to pick a color that either fully contrasts with the colors that are in the multichrome or is more or less the same and a variation of the colors that are in the multichrome. So this multichrome is a pink to gold, and it also has a hint of green from some angles. Let me see if I can show it to you in this format. Sometimes when you do this, you can see. So you see the pink, you see the gold, and a little bit of green over there. Obviously the pink would go with the color because it looks like it's an extension of the multichrome, but then you also have the gold. So I wanted to use a color that's as close to the gold as I could. And of course this palette doesn't have anything else. other than this color. You could also use green, but this green is actually kind of a teal. It's also not the same as the type of green that's in that shade, because the green that's in that shade has a yellow base or a gold base. So it's very warm toned. This is teal, so this probably has more blue in it. So it's super cool toned. So it would not necessarily go, but of course there are no rules in makeup, so you could do whatever you want to do. And I'm kind of liking this eye look. I find it very bright and nice. Now let me bring the camera closer and show you the look from close up. Okay, beauties, let me now quickly show you a side-by-side comparison of this palette with the 3 other palettes that I have, just so you can see and judge for yourself whether they're dupes or not. Delicious Delights next to Muse. Delicious Delights next to Serenity. Delicious Delights next to Royal Rose. Let's wrap up what my thoughts are on this palette based on the looks that I made. So overall impressions in terms of the packaging and the looks very much on brand, very similar to the other palettes that I have, and I have the 3 other palettes from, obviously you just saw the comparisons from Cosmic Brushes. So when I saw this palette revealed, I thought the color story is super pastel, and you all know I'm not a huge pastel lover. I feel like I already said that 200 times in this video itself. And I thought, well, this isn't going to be a palette for me. This is probably not the type of palette I'm going to reach for very often. But after using it, I realized that even the pastels in this palette are super pigmented. So you can really work very well with them. I mean, you just saw even in this eye look how easily this color performed, and the pastels, same thing. They're very pigmented. They perform very nicely. So after using it, I feel like I actually changed my mind a little bit towards liking this palette more than I thought I would. Originally, I thought a palette like this for me would need to be used in conjunction with a palette that has more deep tones. But the truth is that after using these 2 colors, well, actually these 3 colors, I realized that no, actually I can use this palette by itself. I don't really need to dip into any other palette to make creative looks. I very much enjoyed the looks that I made, and I love to hear from you all on what your thoughts are on the looks that I made. And another thing that I thought to myself, beauties, is that if you've watched my reviews, you know that my most common complaint about literally every palette I've reviewed is that the palette does not have enough light tones. So I thought to myself, girl, here it is. They listen to you. They're giving you what you asked for. Why are you complaining about all the light tones? Another thing that I really enjoyed about this palette is that I thought the color composition is pretty good. You have quite a variety of colors in this palette. You have some range of blues, you have range of purple, some warm tones, greens, pinks, as well as even a white to help you lighten up tones if that was an issue. Adding white to a color actually diffuses the color, so it makes it more pastel. So it diffuses it a different way, and the color loses a little bit of its vibrance, but it's better than not having any light colors. Another thing that I thought was pretty impressive is that this multichrome is very creamy, very nice. Look at my eyes. The formulation of how it applied and how creamy it is was very similar to super high-end brands that sell the same kind of color for, I don't know, $20-ish. Of course, though, beauties, it's not a multichrome that is super different that we haven't seen before. Another thing that I would like to explore a little further is how this color would look over maybe some of these more darker tones or even some of the lighter tones, because I'm pretty sure this kind of an iridescent color can give you a variety of effect when used over other colors. So that adds a lot of versatility to this palette, which I'm really enjoying. And then on top of that, this palette already looks like it could be an amazing companion when used with even one of the other palettes that I showed you that I have from cosmic brushes, and definitely Muse or Serenity, which are palettes that most people nowadays have. Let me know, beauties, what your thoughts were on this palette. Did you buy it? If so, why? Did you opt out on it? If so, why? Also, let me know if you liked any of the eye looks that I made with this palette. Thank you, beauties, for being here with me. As always, if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already. I love you all. Have an amazing day, and until next time, bye.